there's folks, there are hundreds and hundreds of these calls that I have. I've got them in my archives. So back in October 24th, 2009, you can look it up. This is from an interview. See, that's the only good thing about ScamTube, is that the only good thing is that you can archive old news articles, old news reports from CNBC and so on and so forth to point to someone's track record. Now, it doesn't work with people like Meet Kevin and so on and so forth because they delete their videos, they hide their videos, or in the case of Tom Nash and Graham Stephan, they re-edit their videos. And I'm going to be releasing the Graham Stephan video where he splices out his endorsement of FTX, which is actually illegal. Graham Stephan, I caught this last year. Graham Stephan has violated the law. He's guilty of evidence tampering. And I actually looked up the law in Nevada. Evidence tampering. You're tampering with evidence. Graham Stephan is being investigated. He's also in a class action lawsuit. He's being investigated by the securities regulators because of, he was involved in FTX, which is, selling unregistered securities. Therefore, he's tampering with evidence. He has removed endorsements he has done in his videos where he's endorsing FTX. Dennis, I don't discuss, and I will never discuss any research on YouTube. Okay? I will never do that. I'm a professional. I don't give my shit for free. Okay? I'm not going to do that ever. Okay? And I'm also doing that because I don't want you to think you can get research on YouTube because you can't do it. You understand? You want an answer to something. Okay? So if I give you an answer, okay, what happens in 3 months or 4 months when something changes? And you don't know about it because you're not following my research. You understand? You understand what I'm saying? Okay? There's no set in stone. Research is subject to change constantly based upon new information and new analysis. You understand? Right? When I forecast the S&P back in June of 2023, when Wall Street was still predicting a recession and a collapse in the market, remember Wall Street, and you can look this up if you don't believe me. Look, Wall Street came out in the third week of November of 2023 with their bullish forecasts in the market for 2024. Only the third week in November, second to third week. Morgan Stanley and Goldman Sachs held off. Goldman Sachs came out at the end of December. They had egg all over their face. Morgan Stanley now is in a conundrum, which I can talk about later on. They still haven't raised their forecast from 4,200. That's why they got rid of, what's his name? Their chief strategist, Mike, I forgot his name. They got rid of the guy, and they claimed, oh, well, he's going to institutional because he cost so many people money. My point is, when I came out 5.5 months ahead of Wall Street with my forecast of the beginning of 2024 of S&P 4,800, the S&P was 4,100, okay? Now, of course, I've since revised my forecast, but you understand my point? Forecast research is subject to change, okay? So when you ask somebody about something, it's not, telling you something now is not going to do you any good. Other than if I give you a broad, longer term analysis, such as, what I said before a couple of years ago when I talked about China's in deep trouble. And when China will recover from this real estate and financial crisis. It hasn't hit a financial crisis yet, but trust me, China's in deep trouble. Just that you guys don't realize it because their markets are closed. You see, they can hide a lot of what's going on. Eventually, they're going to have to print a lot of currency, and their currency is going to get in trouble. But China, once they get out of this, eventually they will. Life goes on. That's not the big problem for China. The big problem for China is its long-term future, its long-term fate is very problematic. Now, if you're a simpleton chump, then you're going to say, oh, it's demographics. No, it's actually not demographics. Okay, it's not demographics. That's just one piece of the puzzle. Anyway, so take a look here. In 2009, October, this was basically about 4 months after the market bottoms, 5 months, whatever, from March 10th, 2009, when the Dow hit 6,500, which I predicted in my book, by the way, chapter 17 of the 2006 original book, I talked about a Dow 6,500 2 years before, 2.5 years before it happened. And then I wrote on that day to start buying for the first time. In other words, I wasn't telling people to buy all the way down. That was the first time. Yes, I nailed the bottom. Peter Schiff is coming out. You can see where the dollar was obviously the dollar collapsed close to the stock market. The dollar collapsed. Peter Schiff is coming out and saying the dollar is going to continue to collapse. It's going to be worthless. Okay? It's going to be worthless. Hyperinflation, he's saying.
The whole idea is to get out of the U.S. dollar, to get out of a currency that is on the verge of collapse. Because the people who don't get out, that just think they're playing it safe, that don't want to take any risk, so they keep their money in the dollar, they are going to be broke. They're going to be completely broke, and that is obvious. It's obvious to me that that's what's going to happen. And this is pure inflation, Latin American style. This is hyperinflation. This is Zimbabwe. This is the identical monetary policy. This is what the Weimar Republic did, and we're going to have the same result. It is sheer bullshit. They're just trying to scare us into thinking that the government needs to save us. Would anybody get on a plane if they knew the pilot didn't know how to fly? Right? Would you want to go on a plane if you knew going in the guy flying the plane was completely clueless? He was just going to wing it? You know, no pun intended. Would you get on that plane? Of course not. Well, and I am 100% convinced that anybody who has their wealth in U.S. dollars will be just as broke as the people who have their money with Madoff. It's not going to matter. It is going to be destroyed. And I don't know how much time you have. You know, with the dollar dropping 5% a week at this point, I don't know. Could the dollar snap back a little bit? Sure, of course. But what if it keeps falling? What if it's down 5% next week and 5% the week after that? And then what if it drops 10% and another 10%? Who knows? You know, at some point, a year or two from now, the dollar could be dropping 5% a day. You know that the inflation rate in Zimbabwe is over 100 million% per year. I can't even calculate what that is. But you know what? It didn't start off that bad. The dollar is now sinking on its own weight, and it's going to drop like a stone. And, you know, there's not a lot of time. The bonds are going to collapse. Nobody's going to want them because the money's going to have no value. I mean, think about it, right? What's worse than owning a dollar today? Having the promise to be paid a dollar in 30 years.
Fortunately, you've got the live video records there on YouTube. You can't hide from the truth anymore.
Anybody old enough to remember the hyperinflation? Peter Schiff continued that hyperinflation narrative for many, 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 many years. I'm unsure when he officially kind of stopped it. I don't think he really has because, you know, now that we have inflation, he brings back the hyperinflation thing. And I wrote an article why it's virtually impossible. Folks, hyperinflation is virtually impossible in America, okay, for many reasons. I'm not going to get into that. When you want to talk hyperinflation, you talk about destabilized countries. Okay? And the gold pumpers always bring up the ridiculous analogy of Germany. They don't talk about what happened to Germany and the situation with Germany then. Okay? They don't talk about all that stuff. That's completely different. Okay? So what happened to the dollar? Worthless? Wow, it soared. It soared. Right? I kid you not. He said it's going to be worthless due to hyperinflation. Okay? Tell me Peter Schiff's not selling fear. Tell me he's not selling fear. Okay? Now, if you go through and listen to Peter Schiff's rants over the years, and I have a good amount of footage, video, audio, and pictorial. If you go through and listen to that, and you listen to the type of nonsense, for instance, gold protects the value of your currency. Anybody remember Peter Schiff with his Valcambi, selling his Valcambi scam? When gold was $17.50 back in 2012 or so, he told you need to buy the Valcambi bar because you can break it off in little pieces and you can spend it. You can, when the prices of everything hyperinflates, and you won't have to worry paying for gas. You can just break off a piece of that gold. Anybody remember that? Anybody remember that? I did a video on that. Come on. I need to re-upload these videos. They're on my website. Okay. Should I show you guys that? Should we take it? Should I show you? I think I should show you guys. I think I should find it and show you. Because I want to make a point here about Peter Schiff's marketing tactic, his fear, selling fear. Now, let me just mention, if you listen to one of the telltale signs of a con artist, they try and sell you a sense of urgency. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look. I've got it here. Let's go ahead and take a look. So this is the Valcambi. Okay, this is the Valcambi. This little thing, little gold thing you break in little pieces. Basically, it was to pitch the idea that you can use it for currency. Okay, can you believe this? This is what he was pitching. He's telling you should buy it at the price of gold today. I think it's like $17.50 when he was pitching this. He was telling you, you could buy it and you can protect the value of your currency when we get hyperinflation. Well, it didn't really work out that way. Let's take a look.
Hi, everybody. This is Peter Schiff from Euro Pacific Precious Metals, and I am holding in my hand the most innovative precious metals product that I've ever seen. This is called the Valcambi Combi Bar, and it's manufactured by the Swiss refiner Valcambi, and it's all the rage in Europe. It started in 2011, and it's just making its way to the United States. And it's kind of like a little chocolate bar. The Swiss are known for their chocolate, except this isn't made of milk chocolate or dark chocolate. It's made of pure gold. And what...
You hear that? Pure gold. So take a look. March 26, 2013. We're going to show you the price of gold. Show you the price of gold so you can have an idea here. Okay, so this is the 20-year chart. Here we are, right here. Here's where gold was, okay? See that? Towards the peak. And look what happened. It collapsed and was down for it took almost 10 years to get back to where it was. Okay? So I want to show you that. So go ahead and listen. It's like a chocolate bar.
What makes it like a chocolate bar is it has these little tiny little squares that you can break off. The bar in it itself is 50 grams of 0.9999 fine gold, which is about 1.6 ounces. But you can break it up into 50 1-gram bars, and they're all identical and they're all marked. Now, at today's price of gold, about $1,600 an ounce, the melt value of this bar, is about $2,500. And that means each individual 1-gram bar is worth about $50. I can take this, a bar gold, I can just put it here in my wallet with my other credit cards, and I can close it up, put it in my pocket, and I've got $2,500 in my wallet, and I can spend as little as $50 worth at a time. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to demonstrate exactly how you go about breaking your Valcambi Combi Bar. I'm going to break off one bar.
I'm not going to listen to them. I'm going to talk while he's doing this. I mean, can you imagine? Can you believe this? He's trying to, think about this. He's trying to convince people to use this little gold thing and carry $2,500 in their wallet and break it off. Who's going to take it? Who's going to take it? Show me who's going to take it at the store.
5-gram stick. That's $250. This little strip right here, all by itself, is worth $250. Now, as you want to spend this little strip, what you can do is you can break it down further one at a time. So I'm just going to snap one off.
Okay, great.
I guess if you take a Who knows?
Notice
$50.
how like he's dumbing this down. Like, here's what you do: you snap this off. He knows his audience, folks. These guys know their audience. They're fucking stupid people. That's their audience. You know.
Federal Reserve note. Today they both have the same purchasing power. Who knows what tomorrow holds, but I know that this little gram has real intrinsic value, and it represents all the effort required to mine it. What about this 50? Nothing. The Fed runs them off the printing press. It doesn't cost much. It doesn't matter what number they put on the bill. Here's a $100 bill. There's no real difference between 100 and 50. They're the same size. It costs the same amount to make this bill as that bill.
You hear that? Can you believe that? He's telling you it's the same. A 50 and 100 are the same. There's no difference. I mean, when you're telling people these times, I mean, can you imagine this guy's a financial advisor? I mean, how is he not barred from the industry with all the ridiculous things he said over the years? There's no difference in a 50 and 100. They're the same size. Folks, let me just tell you, the gold lunatics will tell you gold has intrinsic value because it costs money to produce it. Guess what? It costs money for me to produce farts. Okay? And certain farts that I create, are really smelly. And guess what? That's when I eat really expensive caviar. Okay? Are those farts worth anything because it costs a lot more to produce? No, they're not. They're not worth shit. Gold doesn't have any intrinsic value because it does not produce a cash flow. Peter Schiff doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. FYI. That's just one of the many myths I've dispelled over the years, these gold bugs, which of course, why they won't ever confront me on a neutral platform. By the way, tell Peter, I won't trash you. If you want to debate me, I'll be respectful to you. I might laugh at you. Okay, you're used to that though, but I will respect you for coming. But I know for a fact you would never debate me because you know that you're out-armed, you're outmanned, and the whole purpose for you is you want to convince people to sell them. I don't have anything to sell. I'm not selling anything. You're always trying to sell people stuff.
They require the same effort, but if I want 100 worth of gold, I need twice as much gold. What I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to break off another one of these little pieces, right? I'm going to have to take this strip and I'm going to have to break it off like so. Boom. There we go. Now there's 3 left here. And now I've got 2 pieces. That's worth $100. Why is that worth $100? Because it's twice as much gold. You have to find twice as much. It takes twice the effort. This $100 bill is not worth twice that $50 bill. That's what we mean by saying intrinsic value.
No, you're wrong. Sorry. So you hear that, folks? His quote logic is, well, you've got 150 and 100. They're the same. It's one piece of paper. It took the same amount of effort to produce each one. But with gold, you've got one little piece, it's 50, and another. If you want 100, you have 2 pieces. I mean, folks, here's the thing. And by the way, all these gold bugs out there, they were told so many things when gold was collapsing many years ago after the peak, which I predicted. I predicted the peak when Alex Jones and Max Kaiser were out pumping it. And I actually wrote about while I was selling my gold and silver. But the point is that when the gold continued to collapse and stayed low for a long time, that kind of fizzled the whole gold pumping scene. And during that time, that's when cryptocurrency started to take off. And I'll get to that maybe some other time. How it's really funny how I love it how the cryptocurrency market did everything that Peter Schiff and the gold pumpers tried to do. Peter Schiff and the gold pumpers tried to make gold mainstream with all their bullshit. And actually, cryptocurrency did exactly that. And that's why Peter's so pissed off now at cryptocurrencies. But first and foremost, he's pissed off. You know why? Because he can't make money selling cryptocurrencies. You understand? He can make money selling gold. But he can't make any money selling cryptocurrencies. That's what it's all about. Whatever he can make money selling, that's what he's all about, folks. Okay? He's not about anything else. This guy is He's a money magnet. He worships money. He doesn't give a shit about being wrong, about being honest, about doing good for people. Based upon his funds, I mean, look at the funds. I mean, why are you still running these funds? We're going to take a look here shortly. All he cares about is filling his fat ass pockets. And you have people that live and die for this guy. They'll take a bullet for him because they're so fooled.
So when you have this, when you have these little strips, when you have this bar, you have real money. You have something with intrinsic value.
That's real money, you see?
You have something that must be mined. You don't have something that can be printed.
So what these guys were saying, by the way, because they got these ideas from the gold pumping kingpins, like Peter Schiff and all these other guys. What they're saying is, oh, well, gold can't go any lower because it costs $1,400 to mine. Therefore, it can't go below $1,400. This is what they were thinking. It shows you how stupid they are. Anybody know why? That's just complete stupidity. Anybody? I mean, you can apply this to the semiconductor space. You can apply it to any commodity space. In fact, the mentality is stupid because you know what happens? Yeah, it doesn't matter how much it took to mine the gold. That's why companies, they fucking go bankrupt. Okay, that's what happens when you spend too much. You can't sell it, and you get in debt. You go bankrupt.
Fed could print all these they want. They can put as many zeros as they want. They could put $1 trillion. They can have $1 trillion bill. It won't matter. But they can't produce this. They can't tax this with inflation. This is real money. What can you do with this? I mean, you could basically fill up your car with gas. You can get a tank of gas. Some of you, if you have a big SUV, you might have to break off a second square. You might need 2 squares. But the point is, let's say there's a lot of inflation. Let's say at some point in the future, a few years from now, maybe it costs $200, $300 to buy a tank of gas. I bet during that environment, you can still fill up your car with one of these babies. Now, maybe the gas station owner, maybe he doesn't want more paper. He wants something that retains its value. Maybe he would prefer to be paid in real money, in gold, than funny money, than fiat money. In fact, maybe there'll be a long line for gas if all you got is paper money, but maybe you go to the head of the line. Maybe there's a separate pump if you've actually got one of these. And it might apply for all sorts of things. You can take these to the supermarket. You can barter them individually.
So what he's saying, basically, it's shocking that he's not being investigated by federal authorities. He's basically trying to convince people to use gold over money. And he's basically creating scenarios by showing you visual imagery that this is a possibility. People, they're going to want, you're not going to have to wait in line. I mean, can you believe this nonsense? Well, of course, he wants to sell you this Valcambi garbage. And he gets a nice commish. It's all about the commish, folks. That's why, one reason I got banned by the alternative media. You know why I got banned by the mainstream media? Because, of course, I exposed all the inconvenient realities which panned out. The free trade scam, which nobody knew about until Trump started talking about it 10 years after I wrote about it. The national security threat to the U.S. based upon China trade. I exposed all that. Wall Street, everything. The financial crisis, I exposed all that stuff. Illegal insider trading from Wall Street. But guess what? I got banned from the alternative media as well. Now think about the alternative media. So you probably don't know this, but the alternative media, they're the gold pumpers. They're the gold pumpers, okay? Alex Jones had Peter Schiff on his show many times. In fact, I released some videos showing Peter Schiff was actually violating securities laws because he basically allowed Alex Jones, and maybe he fed him the script, it doesn't matter. He allowed Alex Jones to announce that Peter Schiff Peter Schiff's managed, he has billions under management. When you are saying that, you're lying about the assets under management. You can get kicked out of the industry. In fact, there was a guy, a scam artist, who did get kicked out of the industry for doing that. In fact, the scam artist that did get kicked out of the industry, guess who he was? His name is Chip Hanlon. He was Peter Schiff, Euro Pacific Capital, former COO, who was running a company called Delta Global Financial, who the chief economist was Mike Pinto, if you know that broken clock clown. Folks, I know the whole fucking shebang, okay? This was like 10 years ago, 12 years ago. Delta Global Financial, Chip Hanlon. I did exposés with all these guys. I've covered all this shit 15 years ago. Delta Global Financial, Chip Hanlon, and Mike Pinto were being pumped all over the media as experts. And, they were claiming they managed $2 billion under management. They didn't have shit. Mike Pinto, amazingly, nothing happened to him, right? Might want to ask Mike Pinto what was going on with it. Chip Hanlon got barred from the securities industry. The point is that Alex Jones on numerous occasions introduced Peter Schiff as having billions under management when in fact he did not. You kind of wonder how Peter Schiff is getting away with all these episodes, which it seems like he should be sanctioned. It's kind of bizarre. I don't know.
Selling these Valcambi combi bars at a lower price than you can find anywhere in the United States, depending on how many bars you...
He's selling them cheaper than anybody, but guess what? He's charging almost 8% commission. 8% commission. That's for a transaction. You know how big 8% is for a transaction? That's enormous. Now, if that weren't enough, take a look what happened if you listen to Peter Schiff and bought it. Okay? This shit collapsed. You got fucked. And you sat there for years. Ask yourself how many years you're going to hold on to that shit. 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 2017, 2018, 2019. I mean, are you going to be selling it at a loss? Are you going to be waiting all this time? Tell me how this protects the value of your currency. When you're spending $2,500 for one of those Valcambi sheets, right, and gold is priced at $1,750 during that time, and it collapses. How is gold protecting the value of your... It's not. It's destroying the value of your currency, even before the 8%. In fact, as soon as you buy it, your currency gets fucked by 8%. Got it? Nobody brought this up back then. This is how stupid the people are that listen to this guy. Okay? Nobody exposed any of this stuff.